Hi, this is Alexis Gumapas from Bit by Bit Code here to teach you week 3 of our advanced app development course. Today we will be creating a healthy habits tracker app that has three different pages. First, you select how many servings of fruits or veggies you get, then how much physical activity you get, and then you could see your healthy check-in. After that, you can get tips on how to feel better. So now let's create the project. Open a new untitled project in code.org's app lab. Then let's rename our project to be named Healthy Habits Tracker. Now let's go into screen 1 and then click the design option and let's rename it to be home. Next, let's set the background color to be this following hex code: E8 F5 E9. Now let's drag a label into our app. Now let's give it the label and ID. And let's give it the ID header underscore text. Now the text can be Healthy Habits Tracker, which is the name of our app. Let's customize the width to be 235 pixels. The height will be 23. The X position will be 35. As you can see, when you move the X position, it moves the label horizontally, and then the Y position will move it vertically, and we'll set this to 20. Next, let's change the text color to this following hex code: 1B5E20. So it's a nice dark green color. Then let's change the font family to Verdana, the font size to 18 pixels, and that should be good. Now let's add another label to our app, and then this will be our question 1 text, and this will ask the user how many servings of vegetables they eat. So our text will be, how many servings of fruits slash veggies do you eat daily? Oops, question mark. Now let's increase the width to 290 so that it goes through the full screen. Then let's change the height to 33. And then let's move the X position further down so that it'll be more in the center. So I'm going to change it to 15. And then move the Y position so that it'll be a little bit higher up on the screen. So that will be 70. Next, let's change our question text to be the same hex code as our header. So 1B5E20. And then we'll change the font family to Verdana and change the font size to 14. Okay, now let's add a drop-down box so that we can have the user input how many servings of vegetables or fruits that they eat. So I dragged in the drop-down, and now let's give it the ID Q question 1 underscore drop-down. Then let's do our options. So our options can be, first it will be choose one. Then we'll separate it by the enter so that we can separate each answer choice. So 0 and then 1 to 2. Then the second will be 3 to 4, and then the next will be 5 plus. Now let's give it a width of 200 and the height will be 30. The X position will be 60. And the Y position will stay 115. Then let's customize the hex code to be the same color as the rest of our app. So 1B5E20. Then let's change the font family to Verdana once more, and let's change the font size to be 12. Oops. Okay, so that looks good. Now let's add another label into our app for our second question. So let's add the label, and then this will be question2 underscore text as our ID. Then our text will be asking, how often do you get 30 plus minutes of physical activity? Now let's change the width to 290. The height will be 33. The X position will be 15. The Y position will be 165. The text color will be our same hex code as before, 1B5E20. Then let's change the font family to Verdana and the font size to 14. So now that looks good. Actually, I think that I forgot to change. Oh, okay. No, it is the same size. So then let's also add another drop down so that the user can choose how much physical activity they get. So this can be given the ID Q2 underscore drop down. Then let's give our different options. So let's do our first option as choose one so the user knows, to choose an option. Then let's separate that by a enter, and then we'll do 1 to 2 days per week. Then next 3 to 4 days per week. Oh wait, no, 3 to 5 days per week. And then our last option will be daily. Now let's customize the Y position to be 210 and the following adjustments. Now let's change the text color to be our same hex code, 1B5E20. The font family is Verdana, and our font size is 12. And then that looks good. And now we can also let's run it to see our different options. So now you can see you can choose this drop down, and then you can also choose this drop down. So that looks good. Now let's go reset that so that we can add a button to the app to allow the user to submit their responses. So drag a button, and the ID will be submit underscore button, and then the text will be see my health check underscore in. The width will be 200, the height will be 40, the X position will be 60, the Y position will be 290. Our text color will be just stay white, and the background color we will change to the following hex code, 66BB6A. So it's a nice green color. Then let's change the font size to 14 and change the family to Verdana. So now we have a nice button for our answers to be submitted, which we can later go into the code section to make sure that everything that it actually submits to our next screen. So we have finished our home page and it looks good. Now we have to create another screen for our results and our tips. So now let's add in another screen to act as our results page. So let's give it the screen, the ID results, and then let's change the background color of our screen to be the hex code FFFDE7. So it's a light yellow. Now let's drag a label into our app, and then let's give it the ID result underscore text. Then our text will be your results. Now let's give it the width of 142, the height of 23, the X position of 85, the Y position of 15, and then change the text color to this following hex code: EF6C00. So it's an orange color, or is that? No. Okay. And then let's change the font family to Verdana and change the font size to 18. Okay. Now let's add another label into our app, and then let's give it the ID list underscore text. And then we're going to leave the text blank so that we can set the text in code based on the responses the user gives in our home page. So you can't really see it, but there is a small triangle here which indicates where our actual text box is, even though there's no text you can actually see in the app. So let's give it a width of 300, a height of 125, an X position of 10, and the Y position will be 75. Now let's change the text color to the hex code EF6C00, and then let's change the font family to Verdana and the font size to 12. So now you can see our nice text box, which will eventually hold the results of the user. So now let's add another label into our app. So drag it in, and then let's give it the ID food, and then let's leave the text blank, and also let's just change the text color to our original color, so EF6C00. Let's change the font family to Verdana and the font size to 12 pixels. So then let's just keep it there. And then lastly, we'll check hidden so that it's not shown on the screen when we run the app. So now let's add another label for this, and then we'll give it the ID exercise. And then we'll keep this hidden as well, and we'll also leave the text blank. And then let's add another label, and it doesn't really matter where you put these labels because they're going to be hidden, as we're just going to keep them blank for the system to know like how much exercise and how much food the user input. So let's add another label into the app, and then I'm going to give it the ID food underscore points, and then leave the text blank again, and let's keep it hidden so you can't see it. And then lastly, our last label will be the exercise points, so give it ID exercise underscore points, then leave the text blank, and then leave it hidden. So the 4 labels that we just added are just going to be variables that are referenced later in the code so that we can have our customized results based on what the user inputted in our home healthy habits tracker. Okay, so now let's add a button into the app, and we're going to give it the ID tips underscore button, and then the text will be get tips, and then our height will be 100. Our width will be 100, our height will be 40, our X position will be 110, and our Y position will be 40. And then lastly, let's color the background to be black. Then our font color will be will be the hex code FFA 726, and our font family will be Verdana, and our font size will be 14. So we have our get tips box, our results text that will be later inputted, and then our 4 hidden variables as text box on the bottom of the screen. So that looks good. Now let's add another screen for our tips. Now that we finished our home screen, let's add in another screen to act as our tips section. So let's rename the ID to be tips, and then change the background color to the hex code E3F2FD. Now let's drag in a label for the app so that it can act as our header, and let's give it the ID tips underscore text. Now let's give it the text wellness tips for you. Let's give it the width of 230 pixels, the height of 35, the X position of 45 pixels, and the Y position of 15. Let's change the hex code to 1565C0. Then let's change the font family to Verdana and increase the font size to 14. Then let's give the text alignment to the center, so it's in the center of the page. And now let's add another label to our app to act as the actual text for the tips. So then let's give it the ID list of tips underscore text, and then leave the text blank so that we can change it with our code. Then give it a width of 310, a height of 105, the X position of 5, and the Y position of 75. Then let's change the text color to the hex code 0D47A1 and change the font family to Verdana. Then let's lower the font size to 12. So this will act as a box for our code to input the text. Now we have finished customizing the screens for our tip screen, our results, our home page, and so now we can go into our code and begin coding in the responses for like how much the user like how much vegetables the user eats and how much physical activity they get. So first, let's code the screen so that once you hit this button, the user is redirected to their results screen. So let's do on event, the submit button, which is this button right here, is clicked. So click in parentheses. Then we'll set the function, and let's do a curly bracket. And then let's set the function var food equals get text q1 underscore dropdown, and then semicolon, and then do var exercise equals get text q2 underscore drop down, semicolon. And now let's do the set screen, and then this will redirect the user to our results page. Okay. So now let's declare our variables. So let's declare the variable for our message. So var message equals the just like the empty message is the empty just the empty quotations, Then let's do var points is going to stay 0 at the beginning. And then var food underscore points is also going to be 0. And our exercise points will also be 0 at the beginning. So that looks good. And let's also put a semicolon here. Wait. Now let's set the points for our food. So if and then in parentheses food equals 0, and then curly bracket, then points will be plus equal to 0. And then food underscore points equals 0. And then let's close the bracket, and then we'll do else if food equals 1 to 2, which is our responses, we're doing our different responses. Then let's do the curly bracket, and we'll do points is plus, so we're adding 1 point to their overall points, and we'll do plus equals 1. And then our food underscore points will also equal 1. And then let's do another option. So else if food equals 3 to 4, then we'll do our our curly bracket, and then we'll say that their points, we're going to add 2 to their points, and then let's give them the food points of 2. And then lastly, if none of these options are right, then we'll do else food underscore points is going to be just points is, we're going to add 3 to their points, overall points, and our food points will also be 3. Okay, so now let's set the points for our exercise. So we can this will be a similar format to our food points. So let's do if exercise, and then we are going to be calling our different options for our drop-down menu. So if exercise equals never, curly bracket, then they're gonna add no points to their overall tracker, and then their exercise points will also be 0 points. And then after their close bracket, we'll do another option. So else if the exercise they chose 1 to 2 days per week, then they'll add 1 point to their overall score, and our exercise points will equal 1. Points will equal 1. Then let's add another option for if their exercise is 3 to 5 days per week. So 3 to 5 days per week. and let's add 2 points to their overall score, and their exercise points will also be 2. Lastly, let's do an else for any other option, which would be greater than 5 days per week. Else, then we'll add 3 points to their overall score and give them 3 exercise points. Okay, so now let's write code for it to set the message. So let's click enter, and I'm gonna just do multiple so that I can have more room. And let's do if -1, if the points are greater but are between -1 and 3, then we'll set the message to small changes equal big results. Let's see how you can feel better every day. And then set a semicolon after that. And then let's close the curly bracket. Wait, let me, okay, the curly bracket is actually here. So it's kind of hard to see, but next we'll do if our points are between 2 to 5, 2 points, and then greater than B5, then we can set the message to message equals with a few tweaks you'll be unstoppable. Let's level up your wellness. And then let's do, it's kind of hard to see. Okay. Then, oops, and I also had a typo here. So it should be else if. And then we'll do else if the points are anything above 5, then we can set the message to your habits are amazing. Keep up the healthy momentum. So now, after that, we have set each of our individual messages based on the numerical value of how many points the user gets from their eating and their dietary and physical habits. Okay, so now let's do our results screen. So let's do set text, and then we'll do in parentheses list text, which is our variable, and then we'll set the message so that our message can pop up once the on our list text, and then we can set the text to from our variable exercise, so exercise, and then that can go onto our exercise, and then let's set the text for our exercise points, which can go onto our exercise points. Exercise underscore points. And then let's set the text for our food. So food, and then let's do food, comma food, and then lastly let's do it. Set the text for our food points. So food points, and then comma food underscore points. Now let's return the variables. So let's do return our food underscore points, and then comma exercise underscore points, semicolon. And then let's close that with our, so let's close that with this. And then lastly, well, not lastly, but we'll let's set the code so that once we go onto our results page, we can get redirected to our tips page. So do on event, our tips underscore button is, oh wait, was I not, or not? Okay, hold on, let me do a bunch of entries so that we can see everything that I'm doing. So on event, our tips underscore button, and then comma click. Then we can set the function. So then do a curly bracket to actually put the function in. So all we're going to be doing is setting the screen to our tips screen. Okay, now let's write code so that they can get the variables, and also let's do a close parentheses and a semicolon to close this tag so we won't get that error. So let's do var exercise underscore points. Then we can get the text for our exercise points. Oh, and this has to be in quotations. And then let's do the same for our food points. So var food underscore points. Then let's get the text for our food points. Okay, now that looks good. Now let's also declare our variable for our tips. So var tips, and then we'll do quotations and leave it blank on the inside. And then let's set the tips based on how much food points we get. So if our food points are between -1, and then let's put our food points in between so that we know that it's a range between -1, and then let's do 2, and then we can do a curly bracket, and then what is the error here? Okay, well, we can fix this after we write the rest of our code. So then let's do tips, and then equals, so this is adding another interpolation, like into our main tips text. So this is just adding our different tips based on how many food points they actually got, and while the other message is just an overall general statement on their what they can do based on their overall points. So we can tell them to try adding a piece of fruit to their dinner as they have low they chose in our homepage that they don't get a lot of servings of fruits or veggies. So try adding a fruit to your dinner, and then do backslash to your dinner, and then backslash n, so that this kind of closes the interpolation. And then let's do a else if for if their food points is equal to 2, then we can give the tips to equal have a salad or veggie snack each day, and then close the interpolation with a backslash and an n. And then lastly, let's do an else for if their food points are just greater than 2. Then we can write the tip. Well, let's add to our tips that their food habits, your food habits, and also your food habits are awesome. Keep maintaining those habits. Okay, so that looks good. And I also forgot a semicolon after each of these quotations. So now let's set the tips based on our exercise points. So now let's write code for the tip section on based on your exercise points. So let's do if, and then in parentheses, -1. So if your exercise points are between -1 and 2, then let's do a curly bracket. Our tips will add this section. Try taking a 10-minute walk after dinner. And then close the interpolation. Then after, let's do a semicolon, and then we'll do another if conditional. So else if your exercise points are equal to 2, then curly bracket, and then we can give the tip aim to work out 30 minutes 3 times this week, and then close the interpolation, and then a curly bracket. And then lastly, we'll do our else statement for any other condition, and we'll give the tip equals. Oh, and also I forgot the semicolon. And what else did I do? 3 times this week. Tips. Oh, and then there you go. And else. And I also did a spelling error. Else plus equals, and then let's give the tip. Your exercise habits are awesome. Keep maintaining those habits. And then semicolon. And now let's just write code to update the tip screen. So to set text, and then in parentheses, list of tips text, and then comma tips. And then lastly, let's do a curly bracket, parentheses, and semicolon to close out the code. So now I see some errors throughout the code, and I think so. Now that we finished writing our code, let's run the application to see if everything is working. So click run, and then I'm going to say that I got 0 servings of fruit a day, and 1 to 2 days per week I did 30 plus minutes of exercise. And so now let's see my health check-in and get tips. So I so based on my response, I should have gotten the lowest amount of food points. So that was the correct the correct tip. And then let's see, I also should have gotten the lowest amount of exercise points, which then gave me the correct tip for the amount of exercise I said I got. So our application looks good and everything seems to be working. So congrats on making our 3-page web application. App application? Yeah. Have a good day.